So one of the most common questions I get as a cigar rep when I'm out in the field has to do with different types of wrappers on cigars. So for example, people ask me what's the difference between a Connecticut wrapper and a Maduro wrapper. A Connecticut wrapper is a seed strain of a certain leaf, obviously Connecticut, whereas a Maduro isn't a seed strain but a process. Then you have Habano wrappers, which are also a seed strain, Corojo, which is a seed strain, and also say San Andreas, for example, which is a seed strain but normally used in Maduro cigars. So what's interesting is that all of these cigar leaves, the wrappers, start out as green leaves from the tobacco plant when they're cut from the plant itself. The way they gain their colors is through the fermenting and curing process. So obviously the longer you cure and ferment, the darker the leaf will get. The sugars rise to the top of the leaf and it creates a little bit darker hue. And it also obviously will change the flavor profile of the different leaves. Generally speaking, when it comes to cigar wrappers, the lighter the cigar wrapper, generally the more mild the cigar will be. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be the lowest in strength. For example, if you have a filler leaf that's loaded with Ligero, that's generally going to be a stronger cigar. But if it has a lighter colored leaf as opposed to a darker colored leaf, generally this one's going to be a little more mild, this one's going to be a little stronger. So for example, if you want a light cigar that's generally going to be mild in body and flavor, you'll go with something like a Connecticut, a lighter shade color like this, which you would find in a Recluse Connecticut Amadeus, as well as a Insidious by Asylum CLE. These are both Connecticut's and they're both considered mild cigars. And then you go to Habanos like this Kumpai by Maya Selva. This is a Habano wrapper. You can see it's kind of a cinnamon colored wrapper. And then you got another Habano by Recluse, which is a little bit darker. And then you have another Habano wrapper by Asylum, which is even darker. And then you got some Maduros over here, one by Recluse, which is a little bit lighter. This is an Ecuadorian Maduro. Then you got a slightly darker one, which is an Azan Maduro, natural Maduro. And then another Recluse, which is their OTG, that's a Brazilian Cubra wrapper. And then a broadleaf Connecticut, which is a La Gloria right here, and that's a very dark Maduro wrapper. And the broadleaf is a little more robust than the other leaves, so it's a little more oily, a little more veiny. It gives you a really nice, rich, sweet flavor. And so now, going through this makes me want to enjoy every one of these, so James and I are going to smoke all of these cigars today. So thank you for joining us. And remember, stay smoky, my friends, and we'll see you on the road.